this is an experiment. I've gotten a hold of some boneless country-style spare ribs on sale at a price I couldn't pass up. I'm going to make Chinese Char Siu out of them, and I'm going to do it by smoking them on the grill, or so I think. Now washed and dried and patted dry, the next step in this is to marinate them. I'm starting this the night before to let them marinate overnight. Okay, we'll start with 3/4 of a cup of soy sauce. To that we'll add 1/4 of a cup of white granulated sugar. A 1/4 of a cup of rice wine. And a short slurp more just because I said so. Two tablespoons of hoisin sauce. You are welcome to hurry and come out of there. Close enough. I'm adding about a teaspoon of sesame oil, and about a 1/4 teaspoon, plus or minus, of Chinese 5-spice. And naturally, a few cloves of garlic, which I will chop up fairly finely. Alrighty, the garlic is chopped up. Add that in. Knock it on the floor. Mix it all up. And I'm going to set it over on the stove and warm it up a little to help dissolve that sugar. Now this is simmered and mingled for a few minutes. Meanwhile, I was trimming off some excess fat from the meat. We'll turn this off and let it cool for a while now. I cut this all into roughly 1-inch strips and hunks. Now pile it all in the bag. And when the marinade cools down, we'll dump that in. Okay, this ought to be cool enough. Get it all mixed around, get the air out, seal it up, and we'll stick it in the fridge until tomorrow. Now the next day, this is how they look. And I'm going to pull them out, dry them off, and then skewer them for easier handling on the grill. Now we'll save the marinade because we'll use it for basting later on. And there we have them, ready to go. Now when you've gotten it up to the melting point of solder, which is what we're pretty close to, it's a safe bet that there's not much of anything alive in there. And we'll put in our genuine custom-made wood holder and a bunch of hickory chips that have been soaking for a while. About that many. Ouch! It's hot in there. spray it down with a little cooking spray. And let's drop these puppies on here. I'm going to try to run them at about 300 to 325, and we'll see how long it takes. Now I'm guessing these are going to take about an hour, so I'm going to baste them about every 15 minutes. Well, my 1 hour estimate was a little off. I did some taste testing along the way, and I wound up letting them go for actually 2 hours. But the result is pretty interesting. Come up here. See if I can get them off of these skewers. Okay. They just about literally fall apart. It's absolutely yummy. Tender as could be, still moist and juicy. And I'm talking with my mouth full. Next thing to do is to throw some of this into a stir fry. So what am I going to have with it? Well, a stir fry is whatever you want and whatever you have on hand. I'm going to use some broccoli, a little summer squash, a red chili, some Napa cabbage, a little Italian parsley, garlic, serious garlic, some snow peas, and some green onions, and a little yellow onion. Now with any stir fry, you want everything bite-sized. I do not want to stop in the middle of the meal using chopsticks and have to go get a knife. Now the chili, I will gut before I use it, not being one for seeds. And then slice it into thin rings. Celery I'm going to slice up thinly and on the diagonal. Not for any particular reason, just because I want to. It looks nice. The Napa, I'm going to cut the leaf and the central core separate. And I'm going on the diagonal. The onion. Now with everything cut up and ready to go, it's time to fire up the wok. A couple of tablespoons of peanut oil. Let that come up to temperature. And when a splash of water does that, it's ready. And with the onions. garlic, more garlic, chilies, and the celery. And we'll give these a few minutes to get to know each other. Now, the onions are going transparent. Add the meat. Throw in the broccoli. Add some parsley. Now sprinkle in a little rosemary, a little basil, sprinkling of celery seed, and a shot of turmeric. Then add a squeeze or two of ginger paste, or 3. This all together. Throw in the squash. Add the napa. Sprinkle the green onions. And when the rice is a minute away from done, add the snow peas. And it's just about ready to serve. Now the marinade was so tasty. I brought it up to the heat and I've thickened it with some arrowroot. I'm adding just a bit of it, not to overwhelm. And I'm done. Lay out a bed of rice. Pile it as high as you think you want it. Garnish it with a few sprigs of parsley. Just a touch of paprika for color. And it's time to eat. Yum.